Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Temple Institute Parsha class. My name is Gedalia Meyer, and I'm podcasting from Ma'ale Adumim in Israel. One of the most sought-after experiences in life is the so-called God experience. This, of course, is an undefinable experience, the likes of which countless individuals throughout history have claimed to have undergone. It would be nice if there were some concrete criteria to define exactly what qualifies for a true God experience. But as we all know, none really exists. Perhaps it is better this way. Nobody wants their God experience rated or criticized or compared to some gold standard. These experiences are about as personal as things get, and we don't relish the thought of somebody else telling us it was all an illusion. But what really is a God experience? Certainly one of the required features is that in some way includes God. This alone opens up a vast variety of possibilities, as each person may have their own idea as to what God truly is. But perhaps we can narrow things down a bit. The God experience has to contain some element of being out of the mundane. As long as we are stuck in the humdrum of everyday life, we probably are not connecting with God. There may be some exceptions to this rule of thumb, but it likely fits with most people's expectations of the reality of God. It is clear that different religious orientations and beliefs will result in different experiences. This is a consequence of human nature. Our memories and our impressions of things are linked to what we are used to. But assuming we can cut around the individual images that people perceive, we can probably find some common ground that all such God experiences share. The most common denominator is probably sensing in some way a reality that there is more to the world than just the world. This is really the same thing as being out of the mundane. It is probably what people mean when they say the word holy. Many such experiences will contain a message that was heard or understood in some way. While some may see this as a block to the true essence of a God experience, others see it as the hallmark of such an experience. Without it, they may say, it was worthless, since it is only when God communicates some message that we walk away with something. However, there is something to be said for the God experience without any accompanying message. It is simply the experience itself without any agenda that moves us to believe that we have been through something holy. We know that we felt something, and that is enough. In fact, it is everything. These sorts of things have been going on since time immemorial. It is the classic epiphany of ancient times. It is the prophetic experience of the Bible. It is the nirvana of Eastern religions, even though they would not agree to calling it a God experience. It is what seers and seekers throughout the ages have spoken about and remain silent about. It is the vivid vision of the religious pathblazer and the simple feeling of the unknown peasant. It is what we all wish to attain at some point in life, even if we don't really believe in God. To some degree, this is the central theme of all religions. It is almost certainly the defining feature of the Bible. They are so common in the Bible that we don't really call them God experiences. They are nothing more than the way the Bible speaks. One gets the impression while reading the Bible that these were as common back then as text messages are now. But the truth is that they were rare then, perhaps as rare as they are now. The Bible just happens to speak of them frequently because they are the experience that really matters. This week's Parsha is called Vayeitzei. That word means, and he went, referring to the beginning of Jacob's journey from Canaan to Mesopotamia. The purpose of this journey was to escape the wrath of Jacob's brother Esau, after Jacob managed to receive the principal blessing from their father Isaac right under Esau's nose. Esau understandably hated Jacob for this and vowed in the course of the long story in last week's Parsha to kill Jacob. Their mother, Rebekah, told Jacob to go to the home of her brother Laban and to find a wife for himself there. He received a confirmation from Isaac of the blessing he had received before he left, and then he departed. This is the starting point of this week's Parsha. It is a Parsha that contains a few themes. The first is the beginning of the journey, which finds him alone in a spot where he goes to sleep. He dreams there one of the most famous dreams in all of human history. He sees a ladder going from the earth to the heavens, with angels of God ascending and descending. He sees Hashem in some manner standing at the top of the ladder. Hashem speaks to him and tells him that he is the God of Jacob's father and grandfather, and that the land he is on will be given to his descendants. His descendants shall spread across the earth, and all families of the earth will be blessed through them. He will receive divine protection for the entire time he is out of Canaan, and will never be abandoned by God. When Jacob wakes up, his reaction is fascinating. Instead of the expected praise or thanks, he says, quote, "So it is true that God is in this place, but I did not know." He then feels fear and says, quote, "How awesome is this place? This can only be the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven." Following this interesting reaction, Jacob builds a monument to Hashem and vows, if Hashem comes through with that promise, to devote his energy to God and to make this place a true house of God. Then he goes on his way. The rest of the parsha is the story of Jacob's long association with his uncle Lavan and his marrying Lavan's two daughters and building his large family through them. Lavan himself is clearly a bit of a character, promising Jacob the world but swindling him any chance he could get. Jacob agrees to work for him in exchange for the hand of the younger daughter, Rachel. Lavan instead changes the deal at the last minute and switches Rachel for her sister Leah. In the end, Jacob marries both sisters because it becomes the father of 8 sons and a daughter through them. In addition, each daughter gives him her maid as another wife, and Jacob fathers another 4 sons through them. By the time he is ready to leave, he realizes that Lavan will try to trick him again in some way. In a long narrative, the Torah tells how Jacob got the better of Lavan in building his herds in some mysterious manner. He senses that Lavan will accuse him of theft, and he absconds with his family in secret. When Lavan realizes what has happened, he pursues Jacob and catches up to him close to the borders of ancient Canaan. They go through a difficult discussion about what happened and manage to come to some sort of an agreement for what will happen in the future. In the end, Jacob and Lavan part ways, agreeing to disagree about their long interaction with each other, and, except for a few passing references, that is the last we hear of Lavan in the Bible. Let's zero in on Jacob's amazing reaction to that dream. This is a classic God experience, if there ever was one. It was a dream, but who says that a dream cannot be a God experience? Dreams are every bit as vivid as real life experiences and considerably less restricted by the mundane bonds of normal reality. The dream certainly had God in it, both in visible and audible form. Jacob knew what he had experienced and came away from it a changed person. So why did he react the way that he did? Why did he feel fear? Why did he seem to regret that he had not been aware of God's presence in that place? Wasn't it enough that he had this dream and received a very clear message from God? There is another question that needs to be asked in addition to these. How did he know that, quote, God is in this place at all, if all that he saw was in a dream? A dream could be dreamt anywhere. It doesn't really need any connection to the place where it is dreamt. So why was he focused on the place where the dream took place and not on the dream itself? These are not easy questions to answer. The Torah gives almost no clues as to how to answer these questions, so we are left with a lot of speculation. But we do have certain hints as to which direction to look. This reaction was felt immediately upon awakening from the dream. It almost seems like that feeling right after a vivid dream in which we are not sure if we are still dreaming or not. Jacob, perhaps, was in such a mind space. He was still in the dream even though he was awake. He sensed in some way that Hashem was still there. His actual words were, "Hashem is truly in this place, but I did not know." He didn't say that Hashem was in this place, but that Hashem is in this place. That is a big difference. God was still there even though the dream had ended. Dreams are strange animals. They are as real as the air we breathe, but they are as imaginary as a unicorn. They are vivid like the stars in the sky, but they fade away as quickly as a mirage on the highway. We try to hold on to them, but they slip like water through our minds. But sometimes, usually of no doing of our own, they remain present for a short time, like a memory that we long for or cannot dismiss. It is probably true that everybody agrees that dreams are a kind of experience, even if they are not real. When God is in the dream, it is a God experience. Jacob knew that God is in this place because the dream lingered on in his mind. That dream was now directly connected with this place because that was where he was. When Jacob understood this, he realized that his God experience was as real as any other experience. His reaction of, "I did not know," was not one of regret, but of wonder. He understood that he had experienced God and was still in the midst of it. And he was amazed that he did not realize this prior to the dream. "I did not know" is the very human reaction to the God experience. It is the human mind understanding that God is something that we can never truly know. This is the classic God epiphany in the Torah, but it is something that we all perhaps have tasted. We don't really know what it is that we have experienced, but we do know that it was something extraordinary. The "I did not know" part of the experience is one of the signs that it involved God. God is, almost by definition, what we do not and cannot ever really know. It is mystery in its most sublime form and must always remain so. That is why it is awesome, even a bit fearful. Anything else would bring it down to earth. Shabbat Shalom.